Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really fascinating slice of recent history. We are going to neutrally unpack a highly specific, highly strategic document, Oluyemi Oladevid's comprehensive 9-point advisory framework. Now, she wrote this right before Nigeria's incoming 2015 administration took office. It was a time of major political transition, and she laid out this bold, intricate vision for inclusive and sustainable development. We're going to break down her insights step by step to see exactly how she structured this roadmap for national transformation.
She kicks things off right at the foundation with a powerful central thesis. She writes, "Philosophies of change become the unique selling points of every individual, group, and society." What's truly interesting here is how she frames progress. A well-defined philosophy of change isn't just empty political rhetoric, right? It's the actual engine that drives societies to, as she puts it, reach beyond the stars. It is the absolute core differentiator between a nation that stagnates and one that thrives.
Okay, so to really unpack her vision, we're going to group her 9 distinct policy points into 5 key areas: a philosophy of change, governance and accountability, driving economic growth, cultivating national identity, and finally, the path forward. Let's get right into it.
First up, a philosophy of change. Before she even touches on specific policy advice, she actually sets the stage by defining the very nature of public service itself. She describes national leadership as a call to true statesmanship and a responsibility to, and I love this phrasing, tend and keep the national garden for the common and greater good. This brilliantly illustrates a mindset that treats leadership not as ruling over subjects, but as the careful, deliberate tending of a shared ecosystem. You know, a garden requires planning, pruning, patience. It's a collective space that leaders are merely trusted to look after. But tending that garden isn't always a walk in the park. She argues that creating a sustainable future requires a team united by a sheer overriding vision. And she makes a very pragmatic point here. Historically, economic progress isn't always populist. Sometimes positive change actually requires strong-arm tactics over popularity contests. To back this up, she directly cites Lee Kuan Yew, pointing out how his disciplined, deeply philosophical approach famously transformed Singapore. Moving on to our second theme, governance and accountability. Here, we look at the incredibly strict standards she sets for how government officials must conduct themselves while in office. She draws this incredibly sharp and honestly vivid contrast. She pits public servants who uphold the dignity of labor right against those who spend their time feasting off the national purse. It's a stark warning. You literally cannot have officials feasting while the majority of the citizens they serve are perishing. It's a powerful metaphor for the destructive nature of corruption versus the constructive power of honest hard work. So how exactly does she propose the administration fixes this? Well, first, she explicitly advises the incoming government to firmly rebuild citizen and investor confidence in the justice system and the rule of law. She wants rent-seeking, which is essentially exploiting the system for personal profit, systematically disincentivized. But she's also highly practical. Instead of just scrapping everything the previous government did, she urges them to fund and complete ongoing projects to ensure actual continuity. Plus, she insists on using impact evaluations, meaning actually looking at the hard data from past programs to guide future decision-making. Makes total sense, right? Next up, driving economic growth. Let's explore how her framework tackles the massive, complex beast of industrial and economic expansion.
She builds her economic argument by mapping specific policy recommendations directly to successful global exemplars. She's not just theorizing, she's pointing to real-world success. For education and R&D, she highlights South Korea and Singapore, urging the building of high-technology growth economies. When it comes to agriculture, she looks at China and Brazil, recommending strong incentives for both small and large-scale investments. And for strategic resources, she warns against leaving that totally up to the whims of the private sector. Instead, she suggests deepening public-private partnerships by learning from successful state capitalism models.
To tie all these economic threads together, she presents infrastructure development as an absolute prerequisite. It's literally the propeller for industrial growth and the main magnet for attracting foreign investment. She specifically calls out special economic zones as a way to create business linkages that build domestic capacity, so the local economy actually learns to absorb and utilize these new technologies. And underpinning the whole shebang is the fundamental need for food security via an agricultural transformation agenda. It's this synchronized combination of infrastructure, partnerships, and local capacity that a developing nation needs to truly thrive.
All right, shifting gears to our fourth theme,
cultivating national identity. We are moving from pure economics into the very fabric of the people and their shared national culture.
Here is where she tackles a deeply rooted social challenge head-on. She asks the hard question: how can a nation diminish the sense of tribalism that plagues its national culture? She doesn't just see this as a cultural hurdle, she views it as a massive, direct barrier to every single economic goal we just talked about. Her stance on this is uncompromising. She firmly establishes that political stability, along with ethnic and religious harmony, aren't just feel-good social goals. They are absolute, mandatory preconditions for economic progress. Without them, the economic machine simply cannot run. She urges the administration to implement specific modalities to build nationalism. And once again, she points right back to Lee Kuan Yew's successful nation-building strategies in Singapore as the blueprint for creating unity in a very diverse population.
Finally, we arrive at theme number 5, the path forward. This is her ultimate mandate for the incoming 2015 leadership.
She closes her reflections with an incredibly powerful, energetic directive. She writes, "No coasting, only sail farther and recover greater ground." You can just hear the urgency there. She is demanding that the administration push forward relentlessly. There is absolutely no room for complacency. Her blueprint is a total call to action, insisting that with the right philosophy, the best is still yet to come.
As we wrap up the explainer today, I want to leave you with a final thought. Oluyomi Oladavid wrote this blueprint for a very specific moment in Nigeria's transition back in 2015, sure, but the core tenets of her framework, they are deeply universal. Think about it. How could her timeless advice on treating leadership as tending a garden, heavily investing in infrastructure, and forcing unity as an economic precondition transform other developing economies today? What really happens when a country truly adopts a philosophy of change? It's a fascinating question to ponder. Thanks for exploring this with me, and keep questioning how big ideas shape our world.